So this is Year 10 Homework 13 for Mr. Reed's Maths group. If you just make sure you do this for the deadline on Friday. Question 1. Now this is completing the square. We've talked about what happens if you're asked to express something in this format here. I will remind you of the 3 steps. You have this term, square it and take it away, and if you look back in your maths book you should see examples of that. Remember that there's a 20 on the end of here or a 3 on the end of there. That does need to be included as well. The worst one here, the teaching to the top at the end, it has fractions in it, so anyone that can get that right there is really working above your target grade, I would say, for Year 10. On to question 2. This is the next step, even from that last question. I want you to give it a go. It does say teach at the top. I'm meant to be pushing you to see what I can get out of you this year, and this really is taking it to extremes. Give it a go. They all factorise by 2, so you could take 2 out, and then you could complete the square on the bit that's inside the brackets. If you aren't sure, you could always come and see me and ask for help. It would be very impressive if you could complete the square on that. On to question 3, much simpler. This is what we've been doing in class this week, and I've actually drawn a little hint diagram here for the last one, but I just want you to draw each of these graphs on different axes, separate axes. On this third one, it's challenging enough that I thought I would give a big hint. A gradient of -2 over 3, -2/3, means for every 3 squares it goes along, it goes down 2 squares, along 3, down 2, along 3, down 2. That is a gradient of -2/3. So if you include that slope with that y-intercept and draw it, you should be able to get that graph correct. On to question 4. It's the last question. You've got to solve these equations simultaneously. Now, in class a month ago, we did talk about how to do that, and we did it algebraically, but actually, you'll remember from class this week, I've asked you to use a graphical method. So to remind you the technique required, draw this graph on the same axes as this graph. And where the 2 graphs meet, let's say they're 2 diagonal lines, don't forget, where they meet, wherever it is, the coordinates of that point is your answer to the question. And you write it down like a place like that. And that will be the same answers you would get if you were to use algebraic techniques, but you can get there with a graph instead. Now, as we discussed in class, if it's not right on the grid and it's somewhere in the middle of a square, just estimate where that is. And you could always use Desmos to have a look more closely where it is to get an accurate answer. So that's it. Deadline Friday. Come and see me if you are stuck.